welcome to my first vlog of 2017. So if you've watched me before, you know that we're usually talking about politicians, countries, looking at the horoscopes of people like Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Nigel Farage, Jeremy Corbyn. But I thought we may as well start 2017 on a light-hearted note, and since I'm right here in Boreham Wood, what better thing to look at as the charts of the contestants in Celebrity Big Brother 2017. Now I've noticed that on bots they have all sorts of experts talking about body language, life coaches giving their opinion, but they never have someone talking about the astrology of the different contestants and what that means and sticking their neck out and making a few predictions. So that's what I want to do. And I know that when I read tweets and comments on Facebook, a lot of people are saying, hey, what are the star signs of these guys? We want to know. So I've got them up here. You can't see right to the bottom of my board, but I'll cover what everyone is. As you can see, it's a very fiery house because we have lots of Aries. And although Austin, who is Aries, have left, Kim Woodburn, who is another Aries, has now come in. So we'll talk about that. And yeah, so let's get cracking. Now, the approach I'm going to take with this is I feel that the UK celebrities go in with different motivations to the American ones. So for example, the UK ones seem to go in with the purpose of improving their image or showing what the real them is all about. Does that ever work? I'm not sure that gets achieved. And also, I think the UK celebrities go there with the jaws of life ready to prize their careers out of a death spiral, because it is a bit of a last chance saloon for these people. On the other hand, the Americans treat it as a job. They've got a contract for a job, they're going to clock in and clock out, they're going to put in the required performance. Now, I don't think Austin was taking that approach, but I think in general, that's the way the Americans see it. So I want to look at this analysis through that prism as well. Now, I know on Friday they threw 3 newbies in. We have Kim, like I already say, she is Aries. Now, Jessica, I had a look on her Wikipedia page and it's really very blank, and they don't even have her birth date on there. So how is that for being a Z-lister when Wikipedia don't even have a record of your birth date? I think maybe it's not actually Z-list. We might need to do it like bra sizes, you know, have like a Z-list. And as far as the lass from Geordie Shore, I don't think you need to be an astrologer to predict how her big brother's going to go. Oh yeah, she's gone in there to get mortal. It's going to be rude, crude. And yes, she's probably going to end up in the final because her program, Geordie Shore, has got such a big following, everyone will be voting for her. So I haven't spent a lot of time looking at those 3 newbies. I want to focus on the people who are already in there because that is where I think the winner is going to come from. Now, I have looked at their charts beyond just their sun signs, and I've noticed that a lot of these celebrities have what we call a bowl configuration. Now, if you imagine a pizza, and it's a big pizza, it's divided into 12 slices. Think of all the toppings being on one half of the pizza, and the other side of the pizza hasn't got any toppings at all. So there's kind of a lack of balance, and that is what you see in a lot of celebrities and also politicians. And I think that's because they're very focused on their outer image, how they project, and they're focused on thrusting themselves into the outer world, and I feel they develop one part of their personality a lot more than the other, and in a way maybe they even become their image to a point where they don't quite know what the real them is all about. So you get that a lot with celebrities, and I'll mention which ones have the bowl pattern. It usually means that they're quite thin-skinned and poor losers, and they overreact to rather small things. That's another thing it can mean. So, who should we start with? Let's have a look. Now, Callum is the only Aquarian in the house. Aquarius is a really good sign to deal with the kind of machinations that go on in Big Brother. Callum does have one of these bowl patterns. He's not only an Aquarian, he's also Aquarius rising. So I'd call him a good old-fashioned lover boy. He likes the limelight because he has Sun in the first house. Now, because he has Uranus on his midheaven, I feel that that indicates a famous father, and I feel that he is trading off his father's name quite a lot to the extent that he hasn't developed skills and abilities. What he does lack is determination, focus, and the ability to follow through on things. He's almost a little bit of a drifter. Now, he does have Moon in Pisces, which makes me believe that these kind of women that he's involved with in all the shows that he's been on are not the type of person that he's really interested in and that he's going to really connect with. I think he also has a problem in relationships with always thinking the grass is greener on the other side. But I do think that eventually Callum is going to go for a woman who won't stand in his light. He doesn't really want competition in his relationships. He wants to be the standout guy. So he'll probably go for someone who's not really famous at all. As far as his performance in Big Brother, he is not confrontational, because with this whole Aries thing, I mean in Aquarius rising and a lot of planets in Aquarius, he doesn't enjoy confrontation. He likes to see it happening around him, but he shies away from it. So he's playing it really cool in there, but I think at some stage someone is going to get on his wick, and when he's in a tough situation, that's when you're really going to find out what he's all about. And I think Callum's got a great chance of winning this because of the transits that are going on, but it's all going to depend on the kind of moral fibre he shows when he has to make a tough choice, because that's where I think he's going to have a problem. He's a sort of person that is easily led in a group situation, and he could end up aligning himself with the wrong people in the house, and that's when it could go all west for the lover boy. But he's a pretty good housemate, you know, he's playing it really well, he's good in that situation. So let's come on to James Jordan. He is Aries. Well, I didn't have to even look at his chart to know that, because he is exhibiting the Aries characteristics so powerfully. Now, James doesn't actually have one of these bowl patterns, the pizza I talked about. He's got a locomotive pattern, which means he's a leader. He's the only leader in there, and I think if there was a difficult task or things became problematic in the house, he would be the one that was able to take it all by the scruff of the neck, get things going, motivate people and direct people, because he has got good leadership. He's also one of the more intelligent people in there. He's quite thoughtful, quite analytical. He's playing a game, but I think has been up until now, playing a rather quiet game. He knows he doesn't want to go in there too early. He's just waiting for his time. Now, I know Kim had a little argy-bargy with him, and she was saying, oh, well, you got thrown out of Strictly because this, that, and the other thing. But you know, to be honest with you, it's not too hard to be controversial on Strictly. I think Postman Pat would probably be a bit too controversial for Strictly. There's so much sugar on that program, it should come with a health warning. So I don't think that is something. He's very protective as well, and I know with Ola she was suffering from some bullying, so that's probably what brought out the fiery side in him. But let's talk about Kim and James. They're both Aries, and they both seem to have gone into the house with a similar strategy. In other words, being quite combative, quite bossy, looking for people to go up against. I think James has definitely identified that a winning strategy is when you go up strong and you go up against other people. Rylan went up against Spidey. Yes, it worked for him. Helen Wood had a very fiery nature in the house, and it worked for her. So I think a part of James' strategy is to find strong characters to go up against and to try and prove through that he's on the side of right. I think James has got a very good chance of winning. He was actually my top pick, and it's kind of counterintuitive because he's been in there before and he has got a sort of reputation. Not everyone likes him, but I think this time he may end up just hitting the right notes with the public and therefore getting through to the end. So yeah, I'm quite liking James for this. But I do want to talk about Colleen. She doesn't have the bowl pattern either, and she's one of the more complex characters in there. So I definitely don't think she's been in the mood for dancing. No, I think she's more been in a mood generally. Now, Colleen is a Pisces. She's the only Pisces in the house. She has her moon rising in Cancer, so very emotional person. And I don't think she's fake at all. I think she really does keep her emotions up front, and she lets people know what she's feeling. If she likes you, yes, she'll engage with you. If she doesn't like you, she's not going to make an effort, and she's going to make it clear her feelings. Now, we saw her with Julie Goodyear. She was the one that kind of sussed her out before all the others did. And I think Colleen's been looking in the house for a similar situation where she is the one to call someone out and to kind of not gang up against them, but, you know, be the ones to draw other attention to that person in the house's behaviour. But I don't think she's found such a person. I think Colleen enjoys a little bit of a gossip, and she'd like to stir things up a little bit more. But the problem was when people have moon in Cancer on the ascendant, it is hard for them to detach from their emotions. So because she's going through other issues in her life, she's projecting that and she's not hiding that, and that's why she's kind of looked a little bit gloomy. I feel she's one of the more complex people in the house. When you get to know her, you will get to know her at a very deep level, and you could form a very strong bond with her. But she has distinct feelings towards people of either liking them or not liking them. But I feel she's confronting some issues, and maybe the house is not exactly the best place for her to confront these, because she could damage her image. And I'm wondering, what does she have to prove? What is she really doing in there? And I see in her chart these issues of to do with self-esteem, her self-love. She's still so desperately looking for approval, and I don't think this is the right place. Especially, she came second last year. What in previous years? What does she have to prove? You can't really better second. I don't think going for first is necessarily achievable for Colleen. So I don't think that Colleen will be lasting particularly longer in the house. There's just too much going on there, and she hasn't been able to find her groove. Right, let us talk about, yeah, I'm definitely going to come on to Spencer and Heidi. They're kind of interesting. I thought I'd talk about Nicola briefly. Her and Heidi are the Virgos in the house, and so far they have been exhibiting those Virgo traits, which they've been quite sensible. A little bit like the teacher in some ways. They've been a bit patronizing. Well, definitely Nicola, in the way she kind of controls people, speaks to them a little bit like her children. Now, if any of you guys live anywhere near Nicola, well, it might be worth finding out, because your insurance premiums are going to go through the roof, because she's articulating in the house how she drives like dodgem cars. I mean, she's giving the blonde tizzy driver a whole confirmation in terms of the way they drive. So, but Nicola has got Moon in Aries opposite Pluto. This is incredibly explosive. That is the side of Nicola we all know, the side of her who really kicks off, usually about something incredibly trivial, because it is the little things that tend to really niggle and send her over the edge. But I feel that she's been kind of getting off on the Aggie and the arguments that have been going on between other housemates, and she's been kind of sitting back, waiting to pick her side. I think a little bit like Colleen, she likes to think things out, have a little chat with the other housemates, see the lay of the land, and then look for a bandwagon to jump on that will help her coast through to the end. It's not really so much about her. She needs to ride on something, ride on a bit of Aggie. She's definitely, I think Colleen has got very, very keen perceptions about other people that are often very accurate. And possibly Nicola as well, although she can be thrown off and easily led. So let's talk about Jasmine, who's also a Leo, is on there. I think Jasmine might be leaving tonight. Now, they say Jasmine's wild, and yeah, she does have Mars conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio, which means she's adventurous, especially sexually. But is she wild? No, I don't think so. She has Moon conjunct Saturn in Libra. That means she is very old for her age, not in terms of her looks, but inside she's more like a 60-year-old in terms of the way she deals with life and all the walls and barriers that she has built up around herself. She's actually a very closed person. She's quite needy emotionally, but she can't get that love because she is not trusting of people. So even when she's being wild, I think inside she's totally controlled. So she's giving the image of being, hey, I'm wild, I'll try anything. Inside she knows her limits very strongly, and she knows exactly how to push it, exactly how far she's going, and she's never going to lose control totally. Is Jasmine, she was voted by the public to be the least trustworthy? Yes, I can see why the public is saying that, because she's got Mercury square Neptune, which makes people never believe what she's saying, because they think she's just saying things either for effect or she's highly erratic as well. Whereas Colleen, I don't think she is phony or fake. I think she does, you know, if she's grumpy, she'll say so. If she's irritable about people eating healthily in the house, yeah, she's going to say so. So let's talk about Heidi and Spencer. Now Spencer, I even had a birth time for. He is Capricorn rising. With Heidi, and he's Leo, Spencer. With Heidi, she's Virgo. I didn't have any birth time for her. Now they are like two pieces of puzzles that have come together. They actually are a very good partnership. Spencer has got his Venus in Virgo, which means a Virgo woman is perfect for him. Plus his Venus is connected to Jupiter and Uranus, and Jupiter and Uranus are really strong in Heidi's chart, so those two have just like clicked. But another reason why they've clicked is they're both incredibly ambitious, and they both have the right tools to create a business model and work together, so they're a very good working couple. Heidi's Mars is slap bang in Capricorn on Spencer's ascendant, which means she's a controlling one there. She's the manager in the relationship. She's probably the one that deals with all the money issues and controls and directs the relationship. Spencer's more the one that kind of sits back and analyzes. He has got Moon in Scorpio, lots of planets in the 8th house. I think it would have been ideal for him to be a psychologist, because he just enjoys, you know, analyzing, dissecting, looking at every situation. kind of throwing a spanner in the works and then watching everyone fall out and analysing it. As we know, that's how they like to work. But I think Heidi and Spencer, when they want to do their game plan in these reality shows, they need to operate on a siege mentality where they feel under attack and can kind of plot and look to outwit the others. But this house hasn't really worked out like that because there are so many fire signs in the house. People are acting as individuals rather than teaming up. And when they do team up, it doesn't really last very long before they've gone off in their different directions again. And I think Heidi and Spencer can't really figure out this particular situation. So I don't think that they're going to get very far in this series. And I actually think that their career as a couple might be taking a new direction in the next year. I actually see Spencer aiming to do a kind of Jerry Springer thing in the future. This new direction, I'm not sure if Heidi is as sure about it as Spencer, but I see a whole new era coming up for those two. They will be doing something kind of different. They do map in well as a couple. They work together as a unit, as do Jedwood. Now, I mentioned that James J was one of the more intelligent housemates, and so Jedwood. They're not stupid either, and what they have, which Callum doesn't have, by the way, Jedwood are Librans. So what they have that Callum doesn't really have is they've got a lot of determination and focus. They can be quite feisty. They definitely know how to stand up for themselves, but they're not the kind of people, they understand their business model. They know what they're all about, and they're quite focused, actually quite mature for their age in understanding where they're at. Now, they had Neptune on their north node, which is quite lucky because it means being in the right place in the right time, especially when it comes to the arts world. So they knew how to grab their moment and to capitalize on it. I think that's where Callum is lacking. He doesn't really know how to capitalize on what he's got and turn it into something more. He's not as focused. Jedwood have been successful not by thorough fluke, because from their chart I can see that they are kind of quite focused individuals. Bianca is Scorpio, the only Scorpio in the house. Now, this whole Big Brother thing is not ideal for Scorpios, because Scorpios are great one-on-one, but they don't interact very well when there's a whole group. They like to get people on their own and have someone to, not to gang up with, but to relate to people on a one-to-one level. They tend to shrink into the background in a large group, and you don't get to see much of them, which is why I don't think we'll be seeing much more of Bianca, unless she's going to be one of those who stay under the radar, but she just hasn't got enough oomph going forward to win it. I'm thinking maybe she's not even in there to win Big Brother. I think she's in there competing in the Guinness Book of Records for the most extensions you can have in one head of hair. In fact, with all the, Stacy's got the extensions, basically all the girls have. At the end of the series, I think the carpet is going to be looking like 70s shaggy carpet in there with all this hair. One person we haven't looked at is Stacy. She's also Aries, and Stacy has whack bang so many planets sitting there in Aries. She is definitely fiery, but I see her as actually a very direct, straightforward, pretty decent upfront person. What you see is what you get. I don't think she's playing a game. I think from her chart, Stacy doesn't work well in group dynamics because she doesn't know how to handle her energy when she's in a group situation. She is fierce. She comes across very intense when she is saying something, like all her energy is behind it. I think she can't understand within her chart placements because there's she hasn't got a bowl pattern, she's got more of a seesaw pattern where there's just this abundance of energy, and she's struggling because the planets are connected on a quincunx angle to manage that energy socially and for her best, for the best benefit of her. And I think that's what we saw with the other housemates. They were saying, like, Stacy, dial it down a bit. I don't think they had a problem with Stacy as much as they had a problem with Stacy comes very concentrated. It's just too much altogether. I think Stacy can go quite far now because she's adapted. I mean, Aries are very good at adapting, and she's adapted rather quickly. I noticed Stacy has her Mercury in Taurus. Now, the problem with placements like Mercury and Taurus is Taurus like to understand everything. So when someone's been horrible to her or has said something behind her back, Stacey's instinctive reaction is to query it and be asked, yeah, but why did you say that? Yes, but what is the meaning? Yes, but did you really mean it? Yes, but how can I change? There's this need Taurus have to confront people and get the finer points and you can't always do that because a lot of people are not logical or rational when they're angry with something. They say things, they can't explain it later, and I don't think that Stacy's very good at understanding that. I think one person I haven't mentioned is James C, the old gentleman in there. He's also a Leo, and Jamie, the footballer, who is a Libra. I didn't see them as huge players in the house, and I didn't see them as having like a massive chance going forward or having a massive impact on the show. They just, obviously, James C is totally out of his zone. And Jamie's a little bit laid back. I don't think he's fully understanding how he fits into the house or how to play the game. It's been really interesting watching the show, and I think now with Kim, she's gone in there to sort of be bossy, to tell people off. She's definitely going to head off against James, but it seems like she's going to lock horns with quite a few of the other housemates, so she's definitely a person in there is going to aggravate. I'm not sure if she is going to hit the right notes with the public to get very much further, but people of course will want to keep her in because if she's creating that much excitement. Okay, I don't think there's any we're missing. Colleen, Bianca, Nicola, Heidi. Oh yes, Angie, there I had. She was another Leo, but I don't think it's worth going into too much to Angie at the moment. So my picks, who I thought would do really well, are Callum. James J was my favourite. I think Jedwood have got a really good chance because Jupiter is conjunct their sun towards the end of January, so that's bringing them a lot of luck. They've got a good fan base as well, and I think people may feel a little bit sorry for them because, you know, they have been getting some quite unfair criticism. I think people see them as, you know, a joke act, and they do deserve a lot more credit than that because in the age of celebrity now, it's not really about being... It's not really always about quality, it's how you manage your brand and going forward. It's quite hard to make predictions when it comes to Big Brother. One of the reasons are a lot of people are playing a game. A lot of celebrities lie about their age, for all we know they could all be 10 years older and they're just pulling the wool over our eyes. And the other thing is, many times the people who make the most of the show, not the winner, I mean, the most famous Big Brother contestant ever, Jedwood, came, I think it was third, she came in her year. She didn't actually win it, but no one even remembers the winner from that year because Jade was able to capitalize on it. So often with these charts, it's not necessarily about who wins, but who capitalizes on it best, and maybe that's going to be James J. I think Callum has someone maybe he's in a relationship with already, and so that's why in the house he's just playing up to the lover boy image, but he's not really looking to get involved because I see soon that he will be having some events coming up to do with relationships. So there's something coming up in the future for him, whether this person's already on the scene or not really quite sure. So thank you for watching it. Just before I end off here, because I'm in Boreham Wood, of course, so I can go down and see the queue, people queuing there for Big Brother. It remains it's big interest, and it's interesting to look at the charts rather than doing the politicians. But I'm going to be doing a lot more politics. Angela Merkel, Marine Le Pen, Francois Hollande of France, seeing what the Trump era is going to mean for America. And if you haven't watched me before, you might want to watch back. I've done quite a lot of relationship astrology, and as I say, all the political stuff as well. And well, one of my favourite Big Brother contestants ever, and I thought I'd just mention him because when they were talking about 2016 being such a bad year in terms of celebrity deaths, I think his name got left out quite a bit, and that's Pete Burns. And I really enjoyed him in Celebrity Big Brother. He was in with George Galloway, Michael Barrymore, Faria Alarm, Rula Lenska, Jodie Marsh. It was probably one of the most explosive Big Brothers ever, and Pete was a great contestant. And just to end on a final note, in case any of you have forgotten, Ivana Trump was actually a contestant in Big Brother, and what a great sport she was. I was really surprised by her. She was incredibly down to earth and did really well. So it's quite weird to believe that just sitting here in Boreham Wood, the future president of America's ex-wife was just in the Boreham Wood house not so incredibly long ago. Just goes to show that 6 degrees of separation thing. Thank you very much for listening, and enjoy the rest of the series. It's going to be interesting to see what cracks on.